Hi everyone. So I've been using iPhone 15 for a couple of days now, and before that, or should I say side by side, I'm using 15 Pro as well. I'm not sure how many of you are confused, but I really wanted to make this comparison because I think this year Apple has reduced the gap between Pro and non-Pro models. So I'm going to talk about what do they have in common, what iPhone 15 is missing, and which one does it better. So I'm going to talk about everything, the price, and who should get the iPhone 15 or who should get the iPhone 15 Pro. So let's start with the build and in-hand feel because the design is kind of similar. The iPhone 15 has aluminum frame where the iPhone 15 Pro has a titanium frame. Titanium is stronger metal, but the issue is it doesn't absorb the impact of a drop or it's not easily bendable. So if you drop your iPhone 15, the chances are you will get a dent. But if you drop your iPhone 15, the chances are you might break the glass easily. The in-hand feel of both of them is not drastically different as it used to be between the stainless steel and aluminum, and the iPhone 15 is lighter even though they are the same size. The iPhone 15 Pro does feel more premium because of the extra weight, but I wouldn't really make it a deciding factor. In fact, the frosted finish on iPhone 15 is more soft and it feels wonderful. So every time I pick up the iPhone 15, it reminds me of that buttercream with icing sugar. If you have tried it, you know what I mean. If I talk about the front design, this is where they are very similar as well. Unlike last year where iPhone 15 Pro got the dynamic island but the normal 14 didn't, this year they look identical unless you look them side by side because the bezels on 15 Pro are smaller. But if you're not looking them side by side, you will forget it right away. They both have peak brightness of 2000 nits in auto mode, which is also something that last year model did not have. The only difference between the Pro and the normal 15 is going to be the ProMotion display. If you don't know what ProMotion displays is, basically a high refresh display where the display refreshes a little bit faster per second as compared to the other display to give you a more smoother experience. It's something our tech enthusiasts are crazy about, but a normal practical user doesn't really care about because it doesn't add the functionality, it just enhances the experience. So I'm not going to bring the Android user in this because this is basically Apple versus Apple comparison. And if I'm being honest, I do notice the difference right away, but it doesn't affect the functionality. And after 1 or 2 hours, you might even forget it if you're not using the high refresh rate side by side. If you don't know what a high refresh display is, you're a happy person on this planet. You don't need to worry about it. But if you're coming from a phone that was released recently and not an iPhone, the chances are you will take some time to get used to this normal iPhone 15. But you will eventually get used to it. And the people who thinks once you go 120 hertz, you can't go back. Yeah, that's not the case. I am using 120 hertz every single day. I move to 60 hertz. I use it. I don't care. If there is one thing that you actually wanted but iPhone 15 doesn't have, it's going to be the always on display. The smallest explanation I can give that the normal 15 screen will eat more battery when the always display is on, so Apple didn't put it. Now there is one area where I think iPhone 15 performs better than iPhone 15 Pro is going to be the efficiency. The battery life is better. I'm easily getting 1.5 or 2 hours more battery life on iPhone 15, and it doesn't get as warm as compared to my 15 Pro. But Apple has already accepted that there is some problem with iOS 17 that the iPhone 15 Pros are facing those issues, so they will be releasing software. But as of now, iPhone 15 is more cool. Performance is something that you don't need to worry about when it comes to both of these phones. If you do gaming on phone, the iPhone 15 Pro will definitely perform better. It has hardware ray tracing, the GPU is more powerful. You can do console level gaming on iPhone 15 Pro. But if you play normal games on your phone, the iPhone 15 will be enough for you. The biggest change this year is the addition of USB-C thanks to Europe. So now they both have USB-C port, but the iPhone 15 Pro have USB 3.2, so the transfer speeds are much higher as compared to the older generation USB 2, which was the same as Lightning. So I am sad that Apple didn't put the same speed on iPhone 15. But if you have already purchased iPhone 15, you don't need to worry about those speeds because the iPhone 15 doesn't have those ProRes recording, which creates the bigger file size where the pro level people actually need to transfer on higher speed. Because normally the airdrop works seamlessly, and unless you're like sending a big file size that is 18 or 20 GB, I don't know, like if you did the 1 hour recording, you'll be fine. But I really wish that Apple put the USB 3.2 in the same phone as well because a lot of people do vlogging and there are chances that the video size will be higher. The one good thing is that the both phones support display out, which I was really concerned that Apple might skip on iPhone 15. Before talking about the cameras, I want to talk about four hardware things that are missing on iPhone 15. Wi-Fi 6E, action button, telephoto lens, and a LiDAR sensor. So Wi-Fi 6E is not a big deal in my opinion because there are not a lot of routers available, and if they are, they're very expensive. And even iPhone 15 Pro Wi-Fi 6E doesn't work as of right now, so I'm waiting for an update. The action button is something that is cool if you apply shortcut to it, but as of now I'm just using the silent button. But if you really want to replicate it, you can just easily use that double out triple tap on your phone, and which should do the trick. LiDAR is something that I think is useful to a lot of people. I mean, it can also work for great portrait in low light, but otherwise a lot of people use it for measuring stuff. So if you're someone who hasn't used it before, I don't think you're going to miss anything. But if you actually use it, there is no comparison. You have to go with 15 Pro series. And the last hardware feature that is missing is going to be the telephoto lens, which I'm going to talk about in camera section. But before talking about it, I just want to say the new HDR5, or I would just say the smart HDR5 in the new iPhone 15 series is actually really good. So no matter which phone you pick, you're going to be really happy with it. So let's start with the video first. The rear camera sensor is slightly bigger on iPhone 15 Pro. So in the daylight, the difference might not be huge, but in the low light, you might see small amount of difference in terms of noise and a bit of light. Let me know if you can see any difference in the quality of the main lens. Where the 15 Pro has an advantage where you can use a telephoto lens, which is going to be slightly better than the normal 2x which you can get from this 48 megapixel sensor. You can also record ProRes video in a log format, or even if you want to do it on USB-C drive, which is a great tool for content creator. And if you're one of them, there is no doubt the iPhone 15 Pro makes more sense. But if you're someone who doesn't do post editing or do editing on bigger tools like Final Cut Pro, DaVinci, or even Adobe, I would say stick with iPhone 15 because they both record amazing video and the front camera is same, so let's not even talk about that. If I talk about just photos in the normal daylight, even if you use ultra wide camera, the normal 1x, 2x, the photos are going to look identical. There will be slightly color science difference, but that's just basically if I'm moving my hand a little bit. But if I see the 3x zoom, there will be a detail difference. So if you're someone who takes a lot of zoom shot, iPhone 15 Pro will be slightly better, but if you are not going above 3x, I think you can get away with it. In the low light, there is a slight advantage for iPhone 15 Pro because of the larger sensor, so it doesn't open the shutter speed for a longer time. As you can see in this photo, iPhone 15 has taken a little bit more light in, but it is doing a little bit more over processing. But otherwise, I don't see a lot of difference. There are times where it'll be really hard to tell like which phone has taken which picture. So that sensor will only work in an ultra low light condition, but otherwise they're going to be identical. The skin tones I prefer on iPhone 15 sometimes when I'm taking from 1x, but when I'm doing 3x shot, yeah, I am going to prefer iPhone 15 Pro. But the difference is not enough to spend a little bit more just for that 3x telephoto lens. Now, price is the major deciding factor between these two phones because if they were similarly priced, you will definitely pick Pro unless you really want a lighter phone. But the thing is, if you're not living in US, I would definitely recommend iPhone 15 because the chances are the price difference is going to be huge. In India, the price difference between these two phones is above $600, I would say like 50,000 rupees. And I'm sure in many countries it will be less, but it will still be enough that you can easily get a watch or AirPods or something. So I would definitely recommend going for iPhone 15 and spend the rest of the money on more accessories or even create your ecosystem if you want to. But if you're someone who is in US, iPhone 15 Pro still makes sense because it's $200 expensive, but these are still like something that I would only recommend to someone who's going to create content from this phone. See, if I'm someone who's not going to make these videos, I will definitely pick iPhone 15. I'm really happy with that phone and it does everything I want. Do let me know if these pro features matters to you because everyone I know who's not a tech enthusiast either doesn't know or can't see the difference, which is fair. If you enjoyed this video, if you want to see more comparison in future, please subscribe to my channel. My name is Rohit. I'll see you in the next one. Till then.